Well, I guess we got to the bottom of that mystery. Question mark. Welcome back, Geek Variants, to another exciting recap of Moon Knight. We finally got another amazing episode in. We are almost done with this fantastic series. I am Hello Darkness, my old friend. This is the founder of Geek Variants, Will Parker. How we doing?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. This is definitely getting interesting.
And I cannot say enough good things about the show. But as always, if you like the recaps, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It's the only plug I'm going to throw at you guys. But what were your thoughts about the opening scenes pertaining to this episode?
With this episode, I kind of like that they went ahead and they gave us more of the backstory, which, if you know the history of Moon Knight, you already know the backstory and roughly how it all went down. So we got a little glimpse of that visually, and they tied it in very well. So it wasn't overly saturated, or we didn't have to do a whole big front-loaded backstory. Like, it went well with the tone of the characters, because not only did in this one episode we get the whole Moon Knight backstory, but we actually know a whole lot more about what Mark and what Steven were going through. And it was fantastically done. And of course, look, Oscar Isaac is killing it as far as jumping back and forth between these roles. So it
I
was.
mean, as far as like awards go, like this man better win something for this. The performance that he has given in this series, I was like, I thought he was a good actor before. Now, he's absolutely one of the better ones I've seen in a long, long time, showing the dichotomy involved in having a split personality disorder caused by early onset childhood trauma and the never ending guilt of feeling that he killed his brother and then he reinvented himself during his trials and tribulations of, well, parental abuse through creating Stephen Grant, which in a way, wouldn't that make Stephen Grant the braver and the more, I know there's a word I'm trying to use here, but I'm going to say tougher of the two, wouldn't you think?
I mean, you kind of look at it with the personalities of Stephen Grant and what it was in the comics. Stephen Grant was the playboy, billionaire type guy who just kind of he had a good life. Everything was great about him. So I think that's similarly what they were going for, just not in the same manner. He had a normal life. He had a good life. While it's not the millionaire persona, it's still the I didn't have to worry about anything because, Mark did all the dirty work. Mark did all the stuff that made him, hurt. So Stephen wouldn't have to. So yeah, it was the version of him that was able to be brave and live the life and just kind of have fun with it. But the character developed on its own, and I don't think that Mark was ever able to influence it as much as he's been influencing it now, if that makes sense. So it's just like both of them just remain separate. So now that they're merging into each other, more of the influence is going back and forth. So now the personalities kind of feel, again, they're more like brothers getting to know each other after a long time, and they're really trying to figure each other out. So their influences are gonna be met. And you see a little bit of that, towards the end, where it's like, okay, I'm the fighter, you're not, but now we're kind of bleeding into each other, and they're starting to be more in sync, I guess.
Yeah, and then to have the culmination of that episode, like where it led, that this entire time Stephen Grant has been calling his mother to know that his mom died. And the thing that broke his personality was the fact that he arrives for the wake, refuses to go inside, and then has a mental breakdown in the middle of the street. And then as soon as he's done crying, head literally pops up, and then Stephen Grant takes over. And next thing you know, we don't see Mark for like 2 months. There's just a whole breakdown between him needing time to recover and everything else that had happened with the character. and then you get on back onto the boat, just about to finish everything off. Stephen finally finds his courage and is willing to like, hey, Mark is me. That means I can do these tough guy things too. I can be a mercenary. I can be this. He finds his courage and finds his strength. And ultimately, at the end, as Mark is being dragged off the boat, Stephen jumps, clotheslines one of the monsters trying to pull Mark down, and falls down into the sands to be hardened. And that's it. That is how the scales find their balance. He slowly becomes just one personality of Mark Spector. And I have to say, once again, I know I've been hyping like the cinematography and the CGI and all the effects that they've used throughout this episode, but the scene where they had Khonshu and they finally showed how everything happened, just how everything looked was absolutely breathtakingly beautiful, and I was very, very happy with how the series progressed. 'Cause if you watch the other episodes, I wasn't all that hyped after episode 3, and then, as Marvel usually does, episode 4 is the one where you got to decide whether you're in or you're out. And I cannot wait for next week. What are your thoughts?
I told man you gotta let that marinate and said you see it. This got to cook. It's getting all golden, juicy brown stuff with that. Now we here. We about to eat. So come next week, we gonna really feast and get this 6th episode and kind of everything comes to a head. And then from there, we're able to just move on through the rest of the MCU and really see how this character is going to continue to be a part of the MCU going forward. So I'm excited. There's nothing but big things, and Disney really knows how to make this work. They know how to really drive a story home.
One final caveat that I forgot to mention pertaining to that scene that I was talking about with the boat. You started seeing the souls coming down that were judged too early, which means that Harrow has started his whole plan, which means this race against the clock is so much more important. And I'm fascinated to see if they will actually introduce Anubis and all of his glory pertaining to the next hierarchy of him passing through the gates to be able to be, brought back to the human world, and see how they free Khonshu so they can start whooping some serious cheeks. But I'm excited for next week. I don't really have anything else to add on. Do you have anything else to add?
We good. I'm just ready to run it. So Marvel, hit me. I'm waiting.
Guys, you already know how I feel about that beautiful red subscribe button. Hit that watermark. Check us out in the other videos.